Hey everyone, Shabby here, and welcome back to another episode of Shabby Talk. I'm back here with, of course, Mr. PJ Tovey, and today we're going to be talking about one of the things that really gets on my nerves in WWE, and that is part-time champions. They're so bloody frustrating. I can't stand it. And if you look at it, over the last 30 days, neither Brock Lesnar or Randy Orton, the champions, have actually defended their championship in more than 30 days. Therefore, as per WWE's rules, they are then classed as inactive and therefore should hand over the championship. But that doesn't happen, does it?
Times have changed.
Yeah.
Since the days of being inactive and kayfabe and...
That rule exists when WWE want that rule to exist.
Of course it does. I just don't understand why you'd put the title on somebody who's not going to show up for television, let alone pay-per-view.
The whole thing for me stems back to the whole Kevin Owens. I don't understand why Goldberg took the belt away from Owens, in my opinion. It didn't make no sense to me at the time. Goldberg was part-time himself, didn't defend the belt between... Well, of course he's not going to, but didn't even wrestle between Fastlane and WrestleMania. And the whole... I don't understand why Goldberg versus Lesnar needed a championship in the first place, but you look at it now, we've not seen Lesnar, since WrestleMania.
No.
And where are we now? We're in May now.
Yep.
And what's the point?
It's one of them with Goldberg in his whole collective run, his second run, as it were, in the WWE. He wrestled a collective of possibly 10-15 minutes in total.
If that, yeah.
With his 5-minute match at Mania and his 2-minute match with Kevin Owens. He was quite simply the part-time champion. He's up there with Lesnar as far as being active on the roster. But when you've done your return and your collective in-ring is 15 minutes, that's really bad. Yeah. It goes for everything against what everyone has said about you, in the way that you can barely draw 8 minutes at a house show, is that the fact that you can't even put on a good 10-minute match. And I know he's got a strong move set, very powerful move set. There's not many rest holds or submissions. But during his WCW era for Goldberg, he was known as a MMA fighter in the way that his moveset would be submission-based and martial arts in his striking, punches, kicking. And then, yeah, I don't know if it's down to the fact that he's 50 years old.
I'm pretty sure it probably is.
Possibly is to the fact that he's 50 years old. It would come down as a disappointment when they look back on it, that his first run was disappointing. His second run was even worse than his first. So all that money they invested in Goldberg, they could have spent elsewhere, personally.
The thing is, this is going to be a really outrageous claim, this one, but I sort of link the Goldberg return similar to Sting versus The Undertaker.
Yeah.
It was really hyped up, but it wasn't really as good as what we thought it was going to be. And that's what I think, if Sting and Undertaker had actually wrestled at WrestleMania, we would have realised both these guys are a bit too old and it wouldn't be as good as we thought. And that's exactly with the Goldberg. It was great. You release the game, you can play Goldberg with his full 90s moveset, and it'd be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
You bring Goldberg back in real life in his 50s, it's just not going to work.
Spear jackhammer, spear jackhammer. All of his other moves, it was like they were forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, thrust kicks. He used to do a lot of takedowns with the arm bars and the leg holds. Never saw them.
No.
They were literally vanished. They were gone.
Yeah, and I just think that... Was it Backlash last pay-per-view? It was Backlash, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What kind of a joke is Backlash as a pay-per-view when the main event is a Raw versus SmackDown guy on a Raw pay-per-view?
Yeah.
The Raw champion's nowhere to be seen. And don't get me wrong, it's not just... I'm not blaming legends, because legends that come back can really work. Look at Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
He came back, he's done about a year's run, and he's possibly had the best time he's ever had in the WWE. But
probably,
he's also
it's up there with his heel run in 2008, for sure.
He's also worked all the house shows, he's worked every week, and that's something that Lesnar and Goldberg and people like that just won't do. And it's just, for me, it ruins it. And from what I've read on the news recently, Raw's got its lowest ratings in over a year over the past few weeks, and a lot of people are linking that to just having no championship storyline. There's nothing going on. We don't even know who's going to be facing Lesnar now, because Braun's he's injured. He's having surgery, and he was the person we thought was going to face him. Reigns looks like they want to keep him away. From what I've read, they want to keep Reigns away from the championship until Mania next year. But then what do they do with Lesnar? There's nobody who's sort of viable to face Lesnar because Lesnar's been booked so strong. There's no one who can face him now.
No, the thing with Raw is that they've got a 3-hour time slot to fill, and comparison to SmackDown Live, where they've only got the 2 hours. That is why on SmackDown you see a better in-ring product than you do on Raw, because Raw has a lot of fillers, a lot of vignettes, a lot of backstage, a lot of management, as it were, product. But no, Raw are struggling just for the fact of that their mid-card is having to be coming across as main event because they haven't got a main event.
Yeah.
Because the main event is non-existent.
Because the main event is only scheduled to work so many shows a year.
Yeah, and the thing that people are getting confused by is that the fact that we're talking about the heavyweight championship not being defended. Not long ago, Dean Ambrose was a part of the Shield, and he was the United States Championship. Now, if you can put in the comment section below, how many times did he defend that United States Championship whilst he was in that faction?
Yeah.
It was a stone's throw. There were maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it was.
So
not
down
very
to
good,
WWE's rules, if your title was inactive for around 30, even at the very utmost 60 days, you then have to forfeit your title. Now, again, as Shabby Gamer said, them rules are not here no more. You know, it's a different time, it's a different day, and the landscape has changed. But it is definitely hurting the product for the fact that your main event is the draw. The draw sells the tickets, puts the people in the seats. How are you going to get the people in the seats when you got nothing to draw?
Yeah. Well, that's it. When you're having live shows every night of the week, who do you put on the poster?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be our Universal Champion, question mark, or Vacant. Good old Vacant.
Good old Vacant.
He's won the champion so many times, old Vacant.
Yeah.
But it's just, how do you draw, like you say, how do you draw people in? If you've got, for example, Bray Wyatt as the champion, you can advertise the world champion Bray Wyatt's going to be there, and it's a big thing. But Brock Lesnar turns up, I don't know, he hasn't even turned up since, he's not even been on a Raw since WrestleMania, has he?
I don't know his agreement that he signed, because I know literally Vince threw the safe at him, the bank vault, and said, right, you take that and you go run with it. Brock Lesnar has the control as a part-time wrestler to tell them when he wants to work and tell them how he wants to work. I mean, prime example with his match at Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar put a lot of how he felt the match should go, and in the long run it stunk.
Yeah.
Because Dean Ambrose had so many ideas, as he said on the Stone Cold's podcast.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar shot him down.
Yeah, he doesn't want to change Lesnar. He wants
he wants to.
I was a big fan of Lesnar when he first came back. I thought, this is excellent.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like MMA style, this, that, and the other. And then you realise, match after match, it's just watching the same match on replay over and over again.
Exactly. And the thing that is a shame of, if you've got any viewers that are watching right now and remembering Brock Lesnar's run from 2002, from 2004, his moveset was completely different, very amateur. A lot of suplex,
shooting star press.
The only good shooting star press you'll see from Brock Lesnar is from a dark video when he was on Heat. And he landed it perfectly.
Search for that on YouTube. That was incredible. It's more than half the way across the ring he hits that. It's the best shooting star press I've seen in my entire life, that was.
And I don't know if I've done my research correctly in the way that I believe it might have been Michael Hayes, who then said to Brock, you need to finish with the shooting star. He didn't prepare for the fact that Brock Lesnar would land on his head. But it was the match to close out the show. And they needed something special for the finish. And it didn't work well. So for Lesnar, he's probably up there with Cena as far as highest paid active talent on the roster. He's not worth the money. You know, you're not selling pay-per-views anymore because you're selling it on the network.
Yeah.
All you're selling is subscriptions.
Yeah.
And how can you sell subscriptions when you've got nothing really to advertise, really?
No,
I mean, he had that Beast in the Yeast special program where he had a match with Kofi Kingston.
Was it Kofi? I thought it was Big Show. Was it Beast in the East?
I believe he had one.
No, Big Show was Madison Square Garden.
Yes, and the other one was Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, why? That doesn't sell. That doesn't.
No.
When I look at it and think, oh my god, I've got to buy this pay-per-view, it's Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston.
And yeah, the pay-per-view industry is dead.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to look for buy rates. You don't have to look for what worked 5 years ago because the times have changed. WWE's network is essentially your Netflix, your Amazon Prime videos. It's a streaming service. So regardless if one person watched it or 100,000 people watched it, makes no difference to the company for the fact that it's on their listings.
You get the same amount of money, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I feel a bit bad because I feel like this entire video is just having to go at Brock Lesnar. But
No.
The thing is, over the last 5 years, he's the main culprit of this. We've had The Rock again, but that I don't know what that seemed to feel a little bit better because he just seemed to put a bit more into it. But Lesnar does not seem to me like he enjoys it. Lesnar seems to me like he's there, he's earning a few quid, he's happy enough, he's got the championship, he's going to sit at home, put his feet up for a couple of months. Yeah. He's going to come back, he's going to earn more than probably what these guys do working every single night of the week on dark shows and not put any effort into it. And it's just boring to me, and it's a problem. And the thing is for me, right, and let's see if I can get this right I'm going to word this right. If you're good enough to come back as a part-time wrestler, then I don't think that you need a championship to warrant you being there.
No.
Lesnar, for me, is good enough to put on a good storyline for a pay-per-view without needing a championship to do so. So why give him the champion? I don't understand why Goldberg and Lesnar needed their belt for that match at Rainier. I know they want to try and make it something special, but for me, if Owens versus Jericho had been a match later on in the card for the championship and given a bit more time, that possibly could have stole the show. But instead it was given a really early point in the card, and it was a bit of a waste in my opinion. And I'm annoyed with part-time champions now. It's too much. We don't need this. No. Even if I'm a massive fan of The Undertaker, but if The Undertaker came back and had the belt and didn't turn up on Raw for 2 months, I wouldn't be happy.
It's a good thing you mentioned The Undertaker in the fact that he is probably the pivotal part-time wrestler.
Yeah.
In the sense that he turns up maybe 3 to 5 times a year, gets paid a lot of money for appearances, but he has earned that.
Yeah.
He has stayed with the company since 1990. Brock Lesnar had a 2-year run and then came back in 2012. So that would work out to a collective of 7 years. Undertaker's doubled that.
Yeah.
And then some. So The Undertaker has the right to turn up twice a year, as he does now, twice a year, to promote WrestleMania and to compete at WrestleMania and collect his pay packet.
That's, again, just reinforcing what I was saying, that Undertaker doesn't come in and get involved in the championship picture. He comes in and he can sell tickets.
Yeah.
He can sell a WrestleMania just on being there.
Yeah. He doesn't need a championship to fight for. He just needs an up-and-coming wrestler, i.e. Bray Wyatt, to try and, trying to get the guy over in the same light.
Yeah, and I think he's done a good job of that over the years, I think, because the problem is with this year's is I was convinced, I was so happy for a point after Mania because I was convinced that they had just turned Reigns heel, and it was a perfect heel turn for Reigns. To retire The Undertaker in the main event of WrestleMania would have been an absolute rocket ship up the arse of Reigns in his new heel run. It would have been incredible, and they dropped the ball with that.
Yep.
And you look at other years, CM Punk did really well out that match. Bray Wyatt did really well out that match.
I mean, could you imagine if CM Punk broke the streak with his feud with the Taker? I mean, I don't know. The Paul Bearer passing. There was a lot of distaste in the way that he'd mocked him and the urn.
Yeah,
I believe CM Punk at that time was the only person to break Undertaker's feud at that time.
Yeah.
But left it to not only Lesnar and to Reigns to get the victories over the big man.
Yeah, I've said it on my videos plenty of times. I honestly think that Lesnar shouldn't have dropped it. It should have always been Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt should have been the man to defeat the streak. Because Bray Wyatt is the man, in my opinion, who's replacing The Undertaker. He is the man taking that dark aspect.
Well, the magic.
Yeah, that's it. That whole thing at WrestleMania with the cockroaches and that's what The Undertaker would do. And that's why I think that Bray Wyatt should have literally been given The Undertaker's torch from his entrance and just run with it. Because Why did Lesnar win? What does that help Lesnar? It helped Lesnar nothing because Lesnar was already over.
Yeah.
He was already a big star who made his return. It did nothing for him whatsoever. It did more for Heyman.
Yeah.
Because Heyman had the promo of "I am the one behind the one behind the 21 and 1" or whatever it was called. It was a bit of a waste for me. They really could have just shot a rocket up Bray Wyatt's backside and sent him on his heel run as the new face of terror, which is what he was going for. But
for sure, Lesnar didn't need the rub. No. You know, Lesnar was more powerful doing his own way. But when you look at it, when you've got an MMA legit fighter against a 50-year-old wrestler, in real life's terms, who do you honestly reckon was going to win that legit fight? Regardless of Undertaker's concussions, and you know, he has to be realistic. Whether Taker did make that decision to Vince before the show, because I know it was last minute, he made that decision on the warrant that was Lesnar the man to pass the torch.
The thing is, Lesnar didn't need a torch.
No.
Lesnar just put the torch down somewhere and left it somewhere because he didn't need it. He already had enough torches as it was on his own. It was he did not need that victory. But again,
and so to end the episode, as far as part time,
we've really gone off on a crazy tangent now.
No, we're trying to keep this as short and sweet as we possibly can, because in recent videos of Shabby Talk, Shabby Gamer would restrict the videos to around 10 minutes, which is a good average viewership. But when you've got two people's opinions, call that double.
I do get bored of talking to myself often.
No. So we'll end it with The Rock's title reign, when he took the title from Punk at Rumble.
Yeah.
And then essentially gave it back to Cena.
And again, that was exactly what I was saying earlier. Does The Rock and Cena at WrestleMania need the championship?
Well, they had the once in a lifetime twice.
Yeah. I suppose that was the only way of making that match bigger than it was the year before.
Of course. But out of all the part-time champions, whether it be Lesnar, Goldberg, Rock was the only person, in my opinion, that deserved that moniker.
Yeah.
Because he's gone to Hollywood. He is box office. He sells millions and millions compared to Lesnar and Goldberg. So to have him as a transitional champion, I didn't argue.
And in fairness, if you look at it back as well, the match he put on against CM Punk at Mania was fantastic. Probably one of the best matches of the year.
Yeah.
And even the match he put on against Cena, I can't remember if that was the year. I can't remember if it was the first match or the second match where Rock tore his
pectoral. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was the first match or the second match, but still,
I believe it might have been the second match.
He even managed to pull off. It wasn't the greatest match because it was literally rock bottom FU or
false finishes, and
that's what it was. But it was still a fantastic match, and he really went for it. And I think that I don't mind so much if you're going to put on a great match. I don't care who you are, but if you're going to come back and just hit a German suplex 19 times and expect to get the win and walk out being cheered, I can't do with it. I can't.
I don't believe this is the end of a part-time champion. At the end of the day, if you can draw a crowd, then you're going to be put in a position where you're going to be high up on the card. So we can argue and fuss and complain. At the end of the day, it won't change. So we're just going to have to eat some humble pie and get on with it.
Yeah, I wonder who it's going to be next year. I wonder who's next Mania. Taker's retired.
Jericho?
I'd accept Jericho though because
of his last run,
and he can put on a great match. And the thing is with Jericho coming back is he's willing to work dark matches, willing to work every single Raw, and he's willing to work the pay-per-view. So it's not a problem for me.
Well,
in my opinion, Jericho I would not class as part-time because when he does come back, he works full-time. He works as hard as everyone else.
Again, returning as a veteran. You're always going to have that disclaimer of being a part-time wrestler. We're just showing our views about it. You know, we're not happy. We need someone with longevity, not for someone for that moment. Yeah. We need someone who's going to take that belt and run with it and represent the brand. And at the moment, Raw is lost and it needs to find itself once again.
And I'm hoping at Great Balls of Fire, which is possibly the best named pay-per-view ever.
We noticed the sarcasm. We've got that also in a discussion as far as worst named pay-per-views, which hasn't been done yet.
Isn't it
Great Balls of Fire was Jerry Lee Lewis.
It was. I've done Great Ring of Fire there. I completely went off. What was that meme we saw the other week when there's a picture of Kane when WWE named a pay-per-view after your testicles? I love it.
Yeah, I don't know what Vince is on, but at the moment, again, some teething problems. They need to be resolved.
Anyway, we'll call that it for an episode now. Let us know in the comment section what you think about part-time champions and just Brock Lesnar in general, because that's what the most of this episode's been about anyway. Of course, if you have enjoyed this one, like, and of course, if you are new around here and you want to see some more, then hit that subscribe button as well. We're going to try and get as many PJ Tovey Shabby Talks on over the next few weeks, so be sure to keep an eye out for those. I've been Shabby Gamer, this has been
PJ Tovey,
and we'll be back very, very soon for some more Shabby Talk.
The 1, 2, 3.